In this video, we will take a look at some of the other adjustment layers that we can play around with. So let's go to File, Open, and open Apples again. Okay, and let's go over here to, so when you hover over them, it tells you what they are. So there's levels, curves. Let's go over to Exposure and play around with that. So you can play with the exposure. You can overexpose your picture here, and that applies that filter, or sorry, that adjustment layer. And if you don't like it, you can click on it and then delete it. Okay. And let's see what else we have here. Hue, saturation. So that changes the hue and saturation of it. Oh, this middle one here is saturation. So you can change the hue of the apple. You can change it to green. More green. You can make them red apples. Okay, so just gonna go over here and make them red apples. So I'm gonna go quickly here, File, Save As, and call it Apples Red, and save them as a JPEG. Okay, and save. So that saves as Apples Red. Oh, it should have saved as Apples Red, so let's go over there, save as Apples Red JPEG. There we go. I thought it did, so let's try that again. Apples Red, there we go, save. Oh, so I did save it as Apples Red. No, alright, so let's go back here, and so now I'm just going to go back and delete this saturation adjustment layer. Okay, and let's use a different way to make it to green apples. So I'm going to click on, before we're on saturation, I'm going to use color balance to make them green. So color balance, there's 3 different tones: midtones, shadows, and highlights. Midtones are the middle tones. So I'm just going to use the slider and move it over to green, maybe a bit more on the blue and cyan side. And the same, I'm going to go to the highlights, and so go to the tone, click on it, drop down to highlights, move it over to green, perhaps, there we go, and cyan. So you can play around with it, and shadows as well, change that over to green, cyan. So this is just another way to change, you know, the color of your apples here. Just going to close that, and here I'm going to go File, Save As, and I'll go Apples Green, and save it as JPEG again. Okay, so save. Okay. Alright, and in the apples.jpg original image, I'm just going to delete the color balance there. And let's see what else we have. Black and white, photo filter, channel mixer, color lookup, invert. Alright, so let's go to photo filter here. Okay, and we can also pick, you know, a different color, maybe blue. Okay, and use that filter color. And apply a filter to it. Alright, so I'm just gonna give it more of a blue filter over this. Alright. Using a color. Okay, you can also go in here to apply a cooling filter. So I use blue to apply a cooling filter. You can also go to the filter instead of applying the color here. Okay, deep blue. So kind of play around with that. Alright, so now I would like you to submit all 3 of these. So I'm going to save this as Apples Blue Filter JPEG. Okay. Alright, so for this activity, you would be submitting all 3 of these changed apples.